Hi, I'm Karen Mole from Sci-fivision.com. Thanks so much for being with us today. I have just a couple quick questions. So much of this show is really about family, what it means to be in a family, what you do because of your family, how you love them. And clearly your two characters have very different ideas about what it means to be in a family. And I wonder if you could talk about what it's been like playing those two extremes with each other over the past season and a half. Maybe Cara first.
I mean, for me, Drummer has gone on such a journey. Family was not really on her radar at all until, of course, she ends up with a whole polyamorous family. So to go from, nothing and no one to a whole crew, it required, I think, a great deal of courage on her part to let herself be vulnerable and open to that love. And then, of course, they smash her to smithereens. She's not allowed to be happy for 2 seconds. But I think that having experienced that, and of course, when we meet her in season 6, she's, an outlaw, basically, being hunted by Marco. And the family that she has left, she feels very, very, very protective, of their health and safety. I think that she is at her core more of an alone soul. I think that she doesn't her life, her main desire is the liberation of her people. And I think that as soon as family starts to get hurt, and they do, in the chaos of everything that's happening around that, she would rather let them go so that they can be free, and she can continue her mission alone. It's very noble, very sad, very lonely.
And I think on the other end of the spectrum, Marco's familial dynamics really reveal how mental health and trauma come into play in every family. And even though his intention may also be the liberation of his people, the level of control that he wields and needs in order to feel all right means that the members of his family are pawns to him and are only valuable to the degree that they are actually carrying out his plan. And so that whole situation makes for really messy psychology, especially for the poor enmeshed child. But yeah, I think a family that revolves around narcissism is not a very healthy one.
I often wondered if he even loved Philip or loved any. Sometimes he seems to only love his own voice. And was Philip more of a pawn and something that he wanted to keep away from Naomi?
I think that there's such a struggle within him that it's both. That I think in his heart of hearts, it is love. But we get some reveals this season about what his childhood was like. And something that I really dove into in preparing for this is how trauma is passed on transgenerationally. Like I really believe that what we do not heal gets passed on to our children to heal for us. And if not in a sort of like mystical way, in a really tangible way of the impact of that psychology on the way that child's psychology develops. And I think that he really does love Philip, really, really does. But there's so much that clutters that possibility of loving, his own wounding, his own trauma that gets in the way, that he wants to articulate and express something that he doesn't know how to do. And I think that's tragic. And that's not far-fetched. We see that in relationships between fathers and sons constantly. the generational gap in emotional intelligence is heartbreaking everywhere, and that's what I was really trying to capture with him and Philip, was like a deep love that just cannot be actualized.
Well, and the power of Marco's calling too, right? Like, I feel like his sense of the mission is so strong, and he
Right.
would, I think, feel like he is the only one capable of pulling that off. And so everyone else is secondary to that.
Yeah, the sacrifices he's willing to make for the liberation of the Belters includes sacrificing some fatherhood and some family. And it's interesting because, like you were saying, there's a big spectrum, and Drummer may be on the other end of that. And as similar as they are, as much as they mirror each other, and as much as there is a bond between them as warriors, those choices keep them very, very separate.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear you guys discuss this for another hour, but we're out of time.
Yeah.
So congratulations on it.
Question.
Congratulations. It was so fantastic. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.